If you're someone who's selling high ticket and you are having the most excruciatingly, painfully long, protracted, drawn out calls where your prospect is going on and you're like, dude, for the love of God, I understand. And the call drags on forever. More often than not, you don't make a sale, or maybe you do make a sale, but you're spending so much time on calls that you're like, is this really even worth it? And it's a pretty simple problem to solve. So let's start with a story. So shout out to Nick, client of mine, record breaker, just had his first 5K week from zero. Nick's like, dude, good stuff, leads coming out of the woodwork, content working like crazy, but my calls are too long and it takes forever. Do you have any advice for me? And because I do live call reviews in Record Breaker with my clients, I knew what his problem was. And so the advice I gave him, I'm going to paraphrase and I'm going to give you the same advice. So this applies to you if you have long calls, and it applies to you if you find yourself over-explaining. If you find yourself overwhelmed by the script or the framework that your coach gave you and said, don't you dare deviate from the script or anything like that. Or if you find people prospects who just feel like they haven't talked to anybody forever, and then all of a sudden they've got you and now they're talking to you. So this is going to apply to you. There's essentially two reasons why we have the longest possible ever calls, and I'm going to break it down for you. The first reason is, as counterintuitive as it sounds, we're all given scripts, we're all given frameworks, and frameworks have their place. I give everybody a framework designed on their personality, but you also need to know when to deviate from the framework. Think of it this way. The rules apply to the student until the student becomes the master, and then the master knows when to break the rule. And so what plays a large part here is intuition. Some of you believe in intuition, others of you don't believe in intuition. Let me make it easier and simpler for you to understand. The reason why you don't veer off script is because you don't trust yourself to sell to them. Instead, you put your trust and your faith in, follow the steps to the script, or spend 30 minutes and make the person feel like, you understand them, and then they'll buy from you, which is a load of crap. If trust was dependent on time alone, the world would look very different. It doesn't work like that. The second reason, and this is linked to trust as well, is that like 99% of people that I work with, I see them make this mistake. We're so busy in our heads, like, what do I say next to the person? How do I respond next to the person? I hope he works or she works with me. We're so in our heads that we're not truly even listening to the person across the screen. And the entire objective of a sales call, in fact, the entire objective of your marketing, everything, it's a trust-building exercise. Some people are better than other people at getting people to trust them. Yet some people are just better than other people at building trust faster. How do you build trust? You don't really build trust on the sales calls. If you're expecting yourself to build trust on a call, you're putting way too much pressure on yourself. If you're expecting your setter or you to build trust in the DMs, again, way too much pressure. Way too much pressure. You don't build trust in secret, like, hey, let me DM you. Build trust publicly by showcasing your content, by interacting with them, by interacting on their post with their stuff, or having them interact with you. You want to be proud of who you are. You don't want to be someone in the content and then somebody else in the DMs and then some completely new person on a call. I recently got on a call with somebody who was like, oh, I'm super heart-centered. I was like, nice. So how do you speak to your people? They're like, well, I don't speak to people. I use automations. I was like, cool. How do you stay heart-centric and assess people? I don't know. So back to the point. You're waiting for the person to shut up so then you can move on to the next step. You're not treating them like a person. You're treating them like an idiot. You're treating them like a number, and you're treating yourself like an idiot. You don't trust yourself to even listen to them. You're like, nah, let me just follow the script. I remember coaching a client of mine, 50 grand in 3 months, telling him to stop listening to the script because he was so obsessed with the script that he just wouldn't trust himself anyway. And then the other thing is, you're listening to respond, you're not listening to understand. And so the title of the video says, how do you sell 5 figures in 25 minutes? If we reverse engineer, there's 2 ways. First thing, you trust yourself. Second thing, you treat the other person like a real human being. And you throw the script or the framework out the window. Now I understand scripts have their place. I get people to practice scripts, and then I tell them, now go off script. Now you're good enough to trust yourself. You cannot rely on a script for the rest of your life. And so people understand when you're listening to respond versus when you're listening to understand. Have you ever felt another coach? I get this feedback from people all the time, but and this is not me tooting my own horn. It's just people say this about me. They're like, we feel that you hear us and you understand us and you know how with other people we feel treated like a number. And people don't just say on sales calls. People watch my content and they say that to me. So think about it this way. If you understand how it intuitively works and you understand how trust works, you also, if you're a coach, you can probably read the person 5 minutes into the call, 3 minutes, 2 minutes into the call. Now you're waiting for them to sort of trust you enough to open up to you. How do you do that? You don't do that by following sequences. Sometimes when I'm on calls with other people, I'll mess with them. Like other people are trying to pitch to me, I'll mess with them. I will deliberately ask a question, takes them off sequence to actually see how good they are. I had an agency owner talking about quality and metrics and we do this. And I was like, all right, cool. How do you measure them? Blank. Anyway, I don't want to tear down other people. The guy was trying. Props to him for that. So remember, and this is golden advice, you are not listening to them to coach them, because most people do that. Like, let me help you out right now. I've made the same mistake millions of times. Did I help those people? Hell no. Some of them quit and left. Others of them completely abandoned and did something else entirely. What I should have done was shut up, shown them that I understood them, and told them I can help them. I signed on a person yesterday who I met like years ago, and she was like, I should have worked with you then. I was like, you know what? I should have forced you to work with me back then, but I just don't do that. The way to overcome this is to trust yourself, is to shut off your brain, stop focusing on what you're thinking and what you're saying and how you're coming across, and you're hoping this person works with you. No, this person should hope they get to work with you, with someone like you, because that's the amount of attention you're paying to them, and you should pay to them. Now, this is the other part, over-explaining or overextending or bending over backwards, listening to them. Know when to shut that off, and that's why I say trust your intuition. If you see someone going all over the place, do a pattern interrupt. And pattern interrupts that I teach in my program, they're not to interrupt the person's train of thought. It's to interrupt the state that they're in. Have you ever seen people go all over the place? You want to bring them back? No, let's come back to the point. This is what we're talking about. This is what you said. Continue. And so the key here is to trust yourself enough to ditch the framework or the template or the script or whatever your coach made you swear you were going to use, because that's better than who you are. And also make the other person feel seen, heard, and understood. And don't make them feel this way. Actually, put in the effort to make them feel understood, because understanding happens not due to fancy things you say. Understanding happens on an energetic level. It happens, you can see it with your body language, the way you're speaking, the way you're sitting, your eye movement, everything. That's how you build trust. The best communicators on the planet are not the people who speak fancy. I once had a boss who wasn't all that great. English wasn't his first language. He was Arabic, but the guy was a master communicator. He could read people, tell things. I learned a lot from him. And one of the biggest things I learned was, because I used to pride myself in being able to speak well, what I learned from him, speaking doesn't matter. Vocabulary doesn't matter. Words don't matter. It's everything else that matters. But we're so busy trying to remember the damn script because we think it will sell them instead of I will sell them, that we almost discount who we are as a human being and put all our trust and our faith in some fancy script that somebody made 5 years ago. Trust yourself, ditch the script, and for the love of God, make the other person feel like a human being. The biggest gift you can give someone in 2023 is to make them not feel like a number, because everyone else is doing that. I hope this helps. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.